morning, and welcome back to Homeschool Psychology, the talk show. And we have a special Veterans Day episode for you today. We're going to be meeting with a few different veterans, tallying up almost 100 years of service. I'm so excited for this show today. It's a very special Veterans Day episode. And we're going to hear from all of our veterans about their experiences, things that they learned, things that they wish they had known, and character traits that they needed to be successful and still use today. I'd like to thank our veterans for their service and for our guests today for taking the time to be here. Really excited for this show, and I hope you are too. Here is our Veterans Day special episode.
Enlisted in the Marine Corps in 1955, was commissioned in 60, served in Vietnam in 1967, 68, and went back in 75, did the recons for the pullout of Saigon. So I was only in there for a day that time. I was a grunt. I did a lot of different things in the Marine Corps, projects in Egypt, Honduras, taught at the Naval Academy, was a ceremonial Marine at 8th and I, back when you could be short. And not much else to that. Raised two sons that became Marines, a brother-in-law that was a Marine, and a brother that was a Marine. So there's 5 of us in the family.
Amazing, amazing. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what it takes to be who you are and what you did?
Well, I think, first of all, in the Marine Corps, we talk a lot about honor, courage, and commitment. But whether you're a Lance Corporal in command of a fire team, or a corporal or sergeant commanding a squad, or a lieutenant with a platoon, or a captain with a company and on up the line, the number one priority is to take care of your Marines, but still accomplish the mission. So, for example, my combat tour, the major combat tour, I had 2 little ones at home, a daughter and a son, very young, 3 and 1.5. And one of the things I tried to keep in my mind at all times was I didn't want to sacrifice a Marine's life because I was being stupid, or I was not paying attention to things. So I was pretty hard on my Marines. I really forced them to do exactly what the book said we ought to do in terms of security, in terms of carrying out our mission. For example, there were several times in combat I just disobeyed orders because they were stupid orders. So I was kind of lucky that I survived all that, because I just didn't always go by the orders I was given. I think it's important that as a commanding officer that you think for yourself, and if something isn't right, it probably isn't right, and you better fix it right there and then, or you'll lose people. That's about it in a nutshell.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Would you like to go next?
Sure. So I'm Sean Landis. I'm his youngest son, and also a Marine. I served from 1989 to 1997, and I was artillery. This is a family show, so zip it. That's an inside joke. But for me, joining the Marine Corps, probably 101 reasons why I joined, and I grew up in it the majority of my my life, and then there were just things about the Marine Corps that that I was drawn to, and things that I needed to do and to prove to myself. In a lot of ways, you have to prove things to your father. That was never required and never requested, but probably underlying. And my brother and 2 uncles that had served as well. So So a family tradition.
Do you have any advice on what made you successful during or after?
So the great thing about the Marine Corps is, and I think pretty much everybody here, maybe Dave is the only other person that was, you were active duty too, Dave, right? Or you
A
reserves?
little bit.
But I was primarily reserves, and the Marine Corps needs the reserves to exist, and in some ways that's harder because you're doing a civilian job and you're doing the military at the same time. The takeaway from the Marine Corps is a lot of what Dad already said and a lot of what everybody else is going to say here in a bit. But you learn about yourself, and you probably confidence is one of the biggest things, and you learn that you can adapt and overcome, and that's a Marine saying, and you pretty much can do whatever you want to do. The Marine Corps really instills confidence in you, and you can be successful both in the Marine Corps and civilian, either one at a time or combined.
So adapt and overcome any obstacle you're faced, and when need to, be a free thinker.
Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful.
I don't know about free thinker, but you need to think for yourself. That's probably a subtle difference, but I think it's important.
Think for yourself. I like that. Well, thank you both so much for being here. Feel free to stick around. I know you have a big birthday today. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And you can stick around or
Yeah, we'll stick for a few minutes. I want to hear what
We'll listen and then check out when we have to.
want to hear what the rest of this crew has to say.
who
What do you
would
want to hear from next, Burl?
Oh,
Who should go next?
oh, it's up to Adam. Up to
Sure.
Adam.
You're the birthday man, so what would you like?
You know, I'd like to hear from Scott Kelly.
All right, you got it. So my name is Scott Kelly. I've been in the Marine Corps since May of 1998. I served 10 years active duty, and I've been in the reserves for the last 12 years as a logistics officer. So currently I do have a civilian job that I'm primarily involved with. But to answer some of your questions about why I joined specifically, I mean, as Sean did, grew up in a military family, and while doing something other than the military certainly occurred to me, nothing I could have imagined looked half as fun as being a Marine. Since I was a little kid, and I grew up in an Army family with a brother that ended up going to the Navy, and those looked fine. But once I saw what Marines got to do, there was no other alternative that I wanted to even consider. And so that became a pretty significant focus for me through high school. Then in college, I was an ROTC, and I got commissioned as a second lieutenant in the Marine Corps in May of 1998. The Marine Corps has taken me all kinds of different places, probably 10 or 15 different countries. Some of the more significant ones being Iraq, South Korea, Morocco, and a bunch of other countries where they just let us Marines off the ship and go have fun in various port towns in the Mediterranean, which was a good time. But really, the Marine Corps has taught me a ton about resilience, having a sense of humor. I mean, one of the things we always say, going back to the resilience point, no plan survives first contact with the enemy. And sometimes the enemy is an actual foreign adversary. Sometimes the enemy is time and space just to be able to get the job done. And sometimes the enemy, he's your best friend that you went and had a couple of Coca-Colas with the day before. And, sometimes you get to butt heads, but there's always that camaraderie and that brotherhood that has kept me in the Marine Corps, kept me loving the Marine Corps, and, being as big a cheerleader as I can for what it's done for me and where it's taken our family.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Sounds like a great experience and a lot of lessons learned.
Very much so.
Who would like to go next?
Brian, why don't you step up there?
You got to break up the Marines.
Let's
here.
hear, got to break up the Marines.
Break up the Marine.
Start with them
Marine.
and finish with them? Okay.
Here a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, flap your fingers
I'll
a little
provide
bit.
some Air Force comedy relief here.
I don't know.
Well, I'm Brian Elder. I actually grew up here in Colorado in the northeast corner in a tiny farm town called Holyoke. and didn't have a lot of family in the military, and kind of the first one to fly. I served 21 years in the Air Force, active duty. I was an Air Force fighter pilot, flew F-16s, 3 tours overseas, 2 flying, dropping bombs in the F-16 in combat, supporting the guys on the ground, and then 1 working with the Army on the kind of on the core floor and the being an air liaison officer. You know what it takes to be an Air Force. A fighter pilot, to me, kind of at its core value is similar to a Marine in some ways. Those guys may laugh at me for saying that, but it's really the fighters of the Air Force. And when it boils down to us, it's integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all you do. And so everything you do, if you say you're going to do it, you know, I grew up shaking hands and looking people in the eye, and I expect that to be enough with integrity. When you say you're going to do something, then you expect it to be done. And then the service before self, that's kind of, you know, I grew up in Holyoke on a farm town. It's, you know, if not everyone plays sports, you don't have a sports team. So you have to depend on everybody to kind of pull their weight, participate, not be, you know, sitting on the sidelines. And then the excellence in all you do as a fighter pilot, we're notorious for, you know, people say we eat our young in our debriefs and we're really hard on each other. Well, that's true, but the fact of the matter is we do that because it's that important, and we got to have everybody around us. You know, that's how we lift each other up and make each other better. But it's an important mission. There's no failing when you're supporting the guys on the ground who really need it, and I think it's super important. So proud to serve for 21 years. It was a great career. I taught the young guys at the F-16 RTU in Phoenix, and it's just a great career.
Wonderful. So following through, and you say you're going to do something, supporting your community, and just always finishing really what you say you're going to do, and being a person of your word.
I'd agree with that. Yep.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Who would like to go next?
Well, I'll go. My name is David Kramer, and I was an Army officer for 10 years between 1990 and 2000. I was a logistics guy, which meant I moved stuff from one place to another. And it had to be done safely, and it had to be done effectively. You know, we would load ships, big ships, airplanes, trains, and if things didn't get loaded properly and safely, the train could tip over, or the ship could actually sink if things broke free. I have been to probably military bases in 10 different states, multiple ones, plus went over to Korea. And from the standpoint of the character traits that I think help all of us in the military, really, resilience is the first one. If you get knocked down, you've got to get back up because things don't always go your way. Flexibility, plans change, things don't go your way. You might expect one thing, you get another. And so you have to be able to roll with it. Determination. There's a lot of extra work involved in the job. And, you know, I was a skinny little kid going into the Army. Obviously, I'm not skinny anymore, but physical fitness, you know, being able to run, being able to stay up all night long. I mean, that takes, you know, a lot of grit there. Understanding and listening. You'd be surprised, but, you know, troops these days, I mean, there's all sorts of cultures, there's all sorts of different backgrounds. You know, the way you approach an 18-year-old male versus a 25-year-old pregnant female. You know, it takes, you know, sometimes you just have to listen. I know there's this idea out there that all we do is bark orders. And that's really not the way that things work anymore. That's not an effective way to lead. Preparation and planning. There's a lot of planning. And I think Scott mentioned before, I mean, plans don't always work. In fact, they rarely ever work. But the fact that you've actually thought about things before you go into a situation means that when you get into that situation, your brain's already spinning. So you're already thinking about, well, how could I approach this situation differently, or what should I do if something happens? I joined the military. I've always had a military interest. My father was a Army officer, so I kind of followed in his footsteps. Paid for college, and I really had a desire to push myself. I mean, I learned a lot from being in the military. You know, it's really hard work, but it also builds a lot the best friendships you'll ever have. I mean, I've got friends that I've known for 30 years now, and we get together still. It's challenging, but you learn a lot about leadership, and you get the opportunities to lead that you would never get if you were a 20-something-year-old college graduate. They don't trust you with anything, but in the military, they put you out there and they give you the tools to actually, know how to effectively lead. It's not just something you're born with. They can actually do a lot to teach you. So that's kind of why I went into it.
Wonderful. Thank you. So many character traits from flexibility to listening to just doing your homework and practicing and preparing. Thank you so much for sharing all of that.
We'll finish it up. Back to the Marine Corps. Actually, today, November 9th, 30 years ago, November 9th, I got discharged from the Marine Corps.
Okay.
30 years ago today. I just realized that as we were sitting here talking. So it's been 30 years. And I'll tell you what, the reason I went in the Marine Corps was simply because nobody else wanted me. I couldn't go to college. I screwed up. I didn't bother with school. I was not what you call a straight A student or a B, well, even a C. I was not a good student. I was more busy having fun, playing sports, doing anything but my studying. And it caught up to me. So when I was 18, I had no choice on where to go except leave. So my dad made that apparent. So I joined the Marine Corps. Best thing I ever did. I grew up, I had a great time. I was in for 4 years active duty. Actually, while I was in, I played for the Marine Corps hockey team. I did that on additional orders. So my actual job was to, and nobody bust my chops on this, guys. Nobody. I did payroll. So I was an admin puke, is what they called me.
We'll get you later.
But I did that. I did that on purpose, and I chose that MOS, which is your military occupational specialty, because I was able to actually do some college at night as well. So I got a year of college done before I got out of the Marine Corps. As Dave alluded to earlier, that the Marine Corps paid for my college, right? Got the GI Bill. But I'll tell you what, the fact that I grew up, I thought, what could be more fun? You go to this place, you get to fight people, all contained, right? All within parameters. But it was a great experience for me. And it really led my path to who I became. While I was in, I was stationed in California, North Carolina, and then Japan for a year. And Japan left an imprint on me. Loved the place to the point where I got out, went to college for international marketing, and my minor was Japanese. Today, I couldn't tell you 3 words in Japanese, but it was my intent to get back there. Unfortunately, I never did. But it just gave me some direction, and that was the biggest thing for me. I needed it coming out of school without any, and the Marine Corps provided that to me. So I would not change that experience for the world. I truly enjoyed it.
Hey, Adam, let me just make one point. And I was like Jeff. I got thrown out of high school 2 weeks before graduation. So, tomorrow is the 65th anniversary of my enlistment in the Marine Corps. I was sworn in on the day of the Marine Corps' birthday.
As was I, Burl.
Yeah. But what I want to say, and I don't know if this is true of the Army and the Air Force, it probably is. One of the strengths of the Marine Corps has always been not the guys like me that stayed in for 30 years, but the guys that got out, whether they were in a reserve or completely got out, but served several years, got out, and went out and showed to the civilian population I'm looking for the right word. what the Marine Corps was all about, what honor, courage, and commitment meant. And I would guess that it was the same with the guys in the Army and the Air Force and the Navy. It's the guys that go out and show what you're made of to the civilian world that really is the strength of our service.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not that staying in like Brian and I did is there's anything wrong with that. It's just that, and we did have our opportunities to go face to face with civilians when we lived in the community and that sort of thing. But it's the guys that go out and make that commitment every day in the workplace that shows what the service is all about and the impact it has on young men and women.
Wonderful. It sounds like the military gave you all these amazing life experiences. And then after you got out, you were able to give so much to the world outside of the military as well. It just really prepared you for life.
Adam, I got one other thing to say too, and I'm gonna use some general numbers in this, but we represent the other military that's out there. There's a lot of talk about the 1% in the United States, and it's used for a whole bunch of various reasons. But those who serve are the true 1% of this country anymore. And it's a small amount of people that do. And I just challenge the youth that look at this and to remember that.
Yeah.
And as they grow up, to just remember those who have served and to possibly take that challenge on themselves down the road in the future.
Good point.
It's a good life.
Thank you all so much for being here and sharing, and for your service and for everything you've done. Thank you all so much.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Adam.
Do we know how many years of service are in this chat right now?
Oh my.
I had 30.
Don't ask the Marines to count. We won't get it.
Exactly. Is that math?
I'll have to take my socks off. So, yeah, Brian could count, and Dave probably could, but Brian had 21. I had 30. There's 51.
Adam, maybe you should make that a test, right? So Burl with 30, Brian with 21. I had 4. Sean
8.
8.
22.
Scott, 22, and Dave.
I had 10.
Okay. Well, are we counting reserve too? Then I'll go 7. But
Yeah.
hey, test
Oh,
him
yeah,
on that,
you
Adam.
gotta count the reserve.
Test him.
The reserves spent a lot of time in Afghanistan and Iraq. You have to count those guys.
I think we're at about 95 years.
Nice.
96 it should be.
96? Did someone have?
6, right, or 8? 98 years.
Well, did you give me my 7 then, Burl?
Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
3 years active reserves.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
got that
I'm
in.
trying to get to that 100 mark, you know?
Don't knock the reserves.
The payroll guy messing up numbers. When is it?
My socks are off and I'm
There
holding
it is.
onto a toe.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you all for being here and sharing, your stories of the military and life after it and life during it, and just all the valuable lessons learned from it. So thank you all.
Is
Take
there a
care.
way that we get to see a copy of this when it's done through Susan, or will you send it to us, or?
I will send this to you. I am getting a musical guest together for it and put it all together and package it by Wednesday. So we'll see. if I
Wow. Good luck.
What are you using for music? Fantasia?
if you know a musical guest, anybody, I just get local musicians and musicians from all around the world.
I'm just kidding, Adam.
But Fantasia, we could do. If you guys want to sing right now, that could be it.
I'm
No.
out.
No.
No, let's not go
We don't
there.
want that. But Adam, thank you for doing this. Appreciate
Yes.
you recognizing it and providing this to the kids. So thank you too.
Thank you all, and thank you for your service, and have a wonderful evening and birthday and hanging out socially distanced if you're not going to a birthday today.
All right. Take care, all.
Bye, everybody.
Number 5,
Semper Fi.
fly guy, go Army, yada, yada. Bye.
See ya.
Wow. That was almost 100 years of military experience we just had. Air Force, Marines, just everything. It was so amazing to hear from them all and hear about all the different lessons they learned and all the different character traits they used to be successful. From being flexible and knowing that things can go wrong, to persevering when things are tough, to listening, to learning, to connecting, to collaborating. I can't even name all of the character traits we just heard about. I hope you enjoy this episode, our special Veterans Day episode. It was a blast to film. I'm so thankful to have met all of those people and thank them for all of their service. And I hope you have a wonderful day and you remember to really enjoy your life and any opportunities you have. And think of all the skills that you use to be successful. And before we go, I want you to hear my friend Andrew play us a little bit of music. And after he's done, we'll wrap our show up.
Hey friends, I'm going to do a little song for you real quick. This song is called Au revoir. You know what I think's really sad? I know how really sad you are. I'm probably gonna leave real soon. Just wanted to let you know before I say au revoir. Au revoir. You probably don't even know what that means. Au revoir. Au revoir. You probably don't even know what that means. She says that it's French. Know what it means. You don't have to be so mean. If you want to leave, why don't you go? Just before she walks away, I'm pretty sure I hear her say, adios, adios. I bet you think I don't know what that means. Adios, adios. I bet you think I don't know what that means. Rock and roll, rock and roll. You probably don't understand what I mean. Rock and roll, rock and roll. You probably don't understand what I mean. Au revoir, au revoir. You probably don't understand what I mean. Au revoir, au revoir. You probably don't understand what I mean. Says that it's French, know what it means. Just thought I should let you know before I say au revoir. Thanks, everybody.
Have a wonderful day. Bye!